In the quiet moments, that's where I'll find a little room to breathe, leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe. Every breath.
Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome back to the Room2Breathe Podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today's episode is one of those heart-opening, soul-grounding conversations that reminds us just how deeply connected we really are to nature, to animals, and to the energy that moves through everything. We're sitting down with someone truly special, someone I like to call the real-life Dr. Dolittle. But she's more than that. Regena is a passionate advocate for healing through energy, an intuitive, grounded guide who doesn't just talk about alignment, she lives it. Every single day, whether it's, the sacred stillness with her plants or reading the emotional energy of the animals in her care, she brings love, awareness, and presence to everything that she touches. She's worked with both plants and animals in a way that allows their inherent frequencies to guide healing, support emotional regulation, and teach us how to come back home to ourselves. And today, we're going to hear all about how she taps into that energy and how we can be more in tune with it too. Regena, thank you so much for being here with us today, Queen. How are you feeling today?
Oh my God, divinely cosmic. Yes, if I were to put it any other way, it has to be divine for one, but definitely cosmic.
Listen, I'm with it. I'm with it. What I just tell you, I'm with you when you write, okay? And
I
there
know
ain't
that's
nothing
right.
wrong about what you
Okay.
just said, girl. Listen,
Right.
it's honestly a just another day, obviously that the Lord made for us, and that we get to be
Yes.
here today and to talk to not only each other but to share you with the world, right?
Oh my God. Yes. Right. That's what I am here for. Right.
Yeah.
Nothing but
So I
service
guess
to the light.
yes. And let's get into it. Let's start by you introducing yourself to the Self-Care Club. Tell the people who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Indeed. Hello, Self Care Club. Regina, right, in this star form human body of mine. But I am a multidimensional soul. Um, I'm here just service to the light, and that light led me on a path to care for myself. And in caring for myself, that radiance flowed to cosmic beings like plants and the form of animals as well. So, if you ask me, that kind of summed up a bridge of unity in my own little world. So if I had a little bubble, this is my little bubble,
Yeah.
me being in human form and cultivating a oneness relationship with all of life. I mean, that's literally what it is.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'm super thankful that you've invited us into your bubble today, right?
I love it. I love company. We love company,
Yes. Yes. All right, girl. Well, listen, let's just jump right in, because when I say I've been so excited to share my real life Dr. Dolittle, like you see, I've claimed you. You're my
I
real life
know
Dr.
that's right.
Dolittle.
I
Okay.
know that's right. Hell yes.
So I want you. I guess I just want to start by asking. Can you kind of maybe walk us through what it actually looks and feels like for you, like on a day-to-day basis when it comes to, you know, what it is that you do, and the level of, I want to say, like, maybe like the level of love that you vibrate at, because it takes a special kind of love to operate, when you're working with like plants and animals, because these are beings that don't communicate in the way that we communicate in our, in our human form, right? So what does that actually look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Um, Firstly, just like with anything, just getting myself together first and foremost. That's the most important part of anything that I do when I'm serving the light in any form or way or fashion. I have to make sure that I'm grounded on everything that I want. And it doesn't mean that I have like specific steps. Like I don't pull a certain word up or anything like that. I literally, upon me waking up and opening my eyes, I'm in constant alignment already because
Mm.
I'm just more aware. So, in other words, all of us wake up like that. We all wake up in alignment. The only difference is that someone is unaware that that they're aligned. So just like plants, they go through that too. Our animals, they go through that even more so as well. If you look at the environments that certain plants are thriving in, you bring that plant to a more denser, low vibrating environment, same construct, same circumstances, right? It probably won't thrive as heavenly as it did in another, but it
Yeah.
will thrive, because life will live regardless on where you put it. It's us making adaptations to the environment. So in other words, when I wake up, it's open because I don't know what's going to come. So consciously living in the present, that's what our plants and animals kind of bridge together for us. So
Yes.
I have to come at them in the same way, in that same open light. That means the table is open. Okay, the only thing that sits at that table is truth. Anything that we eat from that table, whoever you bring to that table, it's grounded in truth. It's grounded in openness.
Yes.
One thing that that bridge also allows in understanding in day to day with what I do is, I'm not just there like if you need to go on vacation, because some people use me mostly just for boarding and house sitting. So they be like, oh, that's probably all I do. So
Right.
they realize, no, I'm there at the beginning, So that means even before you bring plants or animals into your life, right? You want to
Hmm.
get your energy together. So I'm there for that part. I'm there for you getting the energy that you need prepared inside of you first. Because see, when you prepare the inside of you, that means that everything that you're going to be met with, right, especially light wise, because internally, that's our ancient language, light language. We all speak it. So when you think that, oh my God, I'm not going to be a good plant parent, I killed all the plants in the house.
Right.
No, 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 no. It had nothing to do with you. Sometimes
Right.
plants are just letting you know that, guess what? I didn't thrive here. That's
Yeah.
all. This just wasn't an area I thrived in. Move me around the house.
Exactly.
Invite me into your home. That means here first. You
Yeah.
know, just because you got it from the store, put it in there. I put it in front of the window. It had all the light it could ever get. It didn't need that light. It didn't
Right.
require that. When you
It
brought
needed
it
your.
into your home, it needed your light.
Yeah.
Okay. It needed your soul. Okay. So, when you put that into your day to day, you don't have to worry about how the day is going to go. You don't even need a pen and paper. I kid you not. Everything you need is stored in you. The plants teach us that. Plants, they feed themselves. You think that you're the gardener. You're the one that planted all that. No, you didn't do it. But you were
Right.
there, right, to provide the light from you, right, to do what you did as far as collective consciousness goes. You
Yeah.
know, Animals and plants teach us that they're sovereign beings. We all are sovereign. We hold our own stuff down. Okay. No one can do anything to you unless you've given them the illusion of power that they can do that. Okay.
Right.
Illusions are real. They're real for animals and they're real for plants. Okay. If you put a plant in a certain environment and you limit its ability to do certain things, it'll
Hmm.
still thrive, but you are going to see the limitations.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
you're going to see it. You're going to see when some people choose to grow big plants, but they grow them indoors. So guess what? They're going to have to train these leaves not to spread out so much. They're going to have to educate the plant on its environment using false lighting. This is not the sun, but I am going to give you something that will have you suited when I am not around. Okay, so
Yeah.
when my light leaves, you're still going to have some vegetation or bloom light that is available to you. Same thing when it comes to our animals, making them feel welcomed and at home. A lot of people, they get animals and, they're like, what do I do? Like,
Right.
what do I
You're
do?
like, okay, I've got food and water. What next?
Right, what's next. It's
You're
like,
like a
just
little
be
love.
you.
Little
Yeah,
love.
just be you. To be honest, it truly is that basic. So once I come into a house and we prepare the inner self for you to have the arrival of those plants and animals, then I'm there throughout the entire stage. That means, seedling puppies, right? Whether it's in vegetation or now the baby, is you're taking trips. So now this is daycare or pet sitting, or me coming out, because a lot of clients have farmland. So, of course, I don't have that much land for farm animals. So I would actually have to go to those babies,
Yeah.
so I'll sit there. To be honest, it's like I'm on vacation,
Yeah.
because there I am. I get to meet new souls, in new animal bodies, new plant bodies as well. And then I'm also even there day to day for when it is time for the soul to take a transformation. We look at death as assuming it is an end, but plants and animals, they will teach you that I am only transforming, dear, that
Yeah.
I am always here. Okay, I remained everywhere and anywhere, because plants and animals are always at what is called 0 point. They're at the frequency of love that is absolute. So there is nothing but oneness. So when they look at you, why you feel so much love and beauty when you look at plants or you look at animals, it's because their frequency just emitted your way and you felt that vibration of acceptance. You felt
Yeah.
like someone actually saw you, not your vessel that you're expressing your soul from, but you, the true you. The true you is energetic. So all of us speak the exact same language. We speak like language. Okay, we speak light. But when you don't remember, right? Plants and animals show you what that looks like. When plants don't remember, like I said, where they are, yes, they wither, right? Soil
Right.
gets damp no matter what you did. You probably did everything correct, but the plant doesn't know it doesn't have any limitations, that it can just grow however it feels, but it doesn't feel that way. Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes energy levels are just different because this is the soul's plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to understand that if you don't remember something, it's okay. And that's what plants and animals teach us, that we're going to do some stuff that just really make you what? I had a pet parent tell me today that her baby had ate an Easter dessert. She
Oh,
baked it up. It was all good and ready for everybody to eat. And
right.
Bosco decided, no, I'm actually going to eat this for myself. Like, I couldn't
Yeah.
believe she
Okay.
baked such a beauty for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And something in him said, that's for me. Okay. Right. And again, it's amazing how, children of the light, they see that and they see, Bosco did nothing wrong. Like, just show him love,
Right.
So it's like, you as a parent, when you hear your children say stuff like that to you, like, I can do nothing now. he ate
Right.
he ate an Easter cake. It was Bosco's Easter cake now. Plans change.
Yeah.
This is what
Exactly.
it means,
Change of
like, for day
plans.
to day. Exactly. Day to day is
Yeah.
going to change. Keep an open mind. Don't set expectations. Don't have an outcome. Just know that you will remember everything you need to when it needs to happen. The most
Yeah.
beautiful thing that I have learned in day to day with dealing with plants and animals is to stay consciously present. Okay.
Mm.
To bring my divinity to the present moment. Even when I'm in stillness I've noticed doesn't just mean just sitting still, not doing anything. Stillness happens even when I'm watching TV or if I'm listening to music. Again,
Mhm.
you when you've learned your energy, your rhythm, you will hear your song start to play in your ears. And it
Yeah.
is the most beautiful sound that you would ever hear, you know? And we get fixated though on the outside. Plants and animals, they bring us back to what's true, which
Yeah.
is the inner parts of us, which are always unharmed, okay, always aware, all right,
Mhm.
constantly rooting for us, so a lot of us who ever felt like, oh my God, I'm so alone, I don't really have anybody. We're all multidimensional souls. You have a lot of you going on. Okay, you're in many places all at one time. And
Yeah.
plants and animals, they show you that. They're sovereign beings. They love to support one another, even when it's not even their species. You will see an owl bird take care of pigeons. There's no
Yeah.
pigeon mom, but I know what to do. I know what these little babies need, right? Even if that owl has never even been a mom, it's not about what you think you've been before. It's about what's already stored in you. And they show us that it's already stored in us. But fear allows us to believe that that's a door and we can't get through it, or that it's just some welded shut wall.
Yeah.
So it limits who we are. Okay, the external will make you feel as though you're a small human being, nothing more, nothing less.
Right.
But animals and plants, they show you who you really are. So that's day to day.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
No, I definitely, can understand all of that. And I think that, we've been conditioned to think of love as a thing, right? An
Yeah.
action, gesture, maybe even like a romantic feeling. But, in listening to you, I feel like what you're sharing is like so much deeper than that, because
So
it's more
much, yeah.
about how we align ourselves with, this higher, pure vibration. And that just
Exactly.
makes me think that, love isn't some like fluffy surface level sort of thing. It's truly a
Exactly.
frequency.
It
And
really is.
we have to realize, when we're tuned into it, then everything in our life starts to shift, right? We show up differently.
Mm-hmm.
We interact
Oh,
with
yes.
everything around us differently. We feel differently.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, when it's out of sync, it makes us feel like everything around us is falling apart. Um,
Yes.
like everything is just disconnected.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's not a shift that's always easy, but it is
No,
always
it's
there
not.
for us to tap into and to remember how to listen. And I love that, that's what we're kind of get into exploring today. I'm curious, how did you first become aware that your plants and your pets were responding to your energy, not just your actions?
Oh man, I was a youngin. I was a kid. Like, yeah. No, yeah, I was definitely a super young child of light at that time. And I had the opportunity to grow up with plant siblings. So, I had human siblings, of course, but I also grew up with plant siblings. And then
Yeah.
before myself and my younger sister were born, it was plant life and animal life and humans in the house. So it was
Okay.
already a bridge of oneness,
Right.
there already cultivated in me growing up. I think, to be honest, just like I told you, it just took to remember. It took me taking the opportunity to always go against the grain. I was always the rebel in my family. So I'm always going to go what scares somebody else. And hell, they don't even know it scared me too. But to be
Right.
honest, what I had learned as a child, that every time I went through the door of fear, it felt amazing. Like I felt like the best adrenaline rush I've ever got in my life, right? Like, ooh, that was
Yeah.
so scary. But it's like once you get past the scary door, you're like, oh my God, that was so fun. Why the fuck I didn't do that before? Like,
Right.
why did I not think of this? So, you know, as a child being a rebel, it prepared me, for knowing that, yes, there are going to be, just like you said, challenging times that feel like you said, because when you are remembering your frequency of love, because
Hmm.
it's not something to align with, you're already in alignment. You just have to remember it. And once you remember it, now you have to start feeling it and working with it. So
Right.
it takes practice. And how you spend time and people like to practice all this external stuff. Imagine knowing that the only thing that you really ever have to do is practice your own shit. When you do that, plants and animals will show you that there is nothing anybody needs to do for me. Wild animals, they thrive. They thrive without the assistance of humans. You know
Right.
why? Because they already have what they need inside of them. Now, don't get me
Right.
wrong. there are connections that we do need to make with one another that allow us to get the keys from our animal and plant kingdom that are needed to awaken us. Okay, our souls have been on a long journey, and imagine on that long journey you feel the thirstiest that you ever felt in your life, and then all of a sudden a bird appears, a bird with a bunch of freaking water in its mouth.
Yeah.
Right, and it's there for you. Okay, it was that instantaneous thought process. It's just like with how a lot of people believe that manifestation doesn't work, or it only works if you do it this way. Manifestation is energy, and to be honest with you, whatever is truly like what's true for you, it is a manifestation already there for you.
Yeah.
And animals will show you that, like eagles, for instance. There comes a time where that beak and those talons, they get weak and they get damaged and they get a little old. But what happens is they go to a sacred rock, one that calls to them. Okay, when the eagle gets there, it will scrape till it bleeds its claws off. It'll beat its beak the hardest it can till it falls off. It does that because it trusts its body. It trusts itself to regenerate, which it will. And that means that, guess what? After healing is done, they get new talents to catch new things, right? They get a new beak grown out of love from itself. Yeah. We have that same ability too, but when you don't remember that, right, you get sick, you get hurt, you get damaged, and to you, you're telling yourself, you're broken. I'm broken. I'm always going to get hurt. I'm so fragile. No, you're not. You're like the strongest ever.
Yeah. It's like there's always a point in life where we have to tune out everything else. No matter whether you're talking about just like physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, whatever it is, there's a point when you have to turn everything else down and turn yourself up.
Yes.
So that way you can, because you'll never understand you'll never know what level you're vibrating at if you don't turn down everybody else's vibration. Like you said,
we wake up in alignment. Yes, it's like a dial. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we wake up in alignment. And so we wake up and it's going to be a good day. But then you check your messages, the kids all this stuff is going on, and you like, no, the hell, it's not finna be a good day.
Exactly.
Like,
no, it's not.
But that's because you've adopted everybody else's vibration and you took it as your own beat.
As your truth. Yep.
And that's not it. You don't have to dance to the beat of everybody else's drum, because you have your own song, you have your own beat to dance to. So, I think, what you said about being in tune, with yourself, with your pets, with your plants, it's almost like a mirror, right?
It really is. It's exactly that. Like you're literally looking at you in a different expression. Because we're all the spark of Prime Creator. Prime Creator created us out of nothing but purest of love. That neutrality, that meant that even if we are, at a party, right, shaking our ass or doing whatever high-end drugs, right? Then Prime Creator was doing some high-end drugs and it was shaking its ass that night. Okay. It did not feel that, you deserve to be hated, right? It's not going to shun you away. That availability to source is still there to come back in alignment. Okay. You can still detox your system. You had an experience. You went through a phase, whatever the case may be. Understand that cycles are going to come. You see it in our animals. It's not all the time that our animals, right, they have the best of resources, right, or the best of vegetation, but they do what they have. And they show you that it doesn't matter the circumstances, that we're going to figure it out, right? We're going to figure it out no matter what. Like I said, even if you do, see various species together, people see that and they automatically have so much fear, but the external world will make you feel like that. It'll make you feel like you have to fear these animals or you will become those animals, right? No, we're all a part of this beautiful divine tapestry. Our divinity is going to be expressed in different forms, shapes, sizes. Okay, not all of us are skinny. Not all of us, right, are bigger.
Right.
Not all of us have hair. Okay, it's like, it's all of these beautiful, unique qualities, but none of them define us.
Yeah.
Everything comes back into this oneness of knowing that you're going to do things here at this vibration, but then when you remember more of who you are, right, through those experiences, you find out, oh, I don't have to do those things anymore. Like, in other
Right.
words, you don't have to force yourself to quit things. You don't have to force things out of
Yeah.
your life. They're literally going to leave because you remember more about yourself than you did either the day before or a year ago, right?
Right.
You're going to even may have experiences, even animals who go through experiences of cruelty, with owners who beat them viciously, right? Or plants, like I said, who are burned viciously, okay, on purpose. Guess what? Plant life, animal life, automatically they already have forgiveness at the door. That's a frequency of love right there.
Yeah.
Unconditional, neutral. It doesn't care that somebody had an experience with that, because guess what? It understands its divinity. When you understand your divinity, then you know you're already unharmed. It doesn't matter if the vessel or the tool you're expressing your soul from goes to ashes or not, right?
Right.
Because you'll be back in something much more beautiful because you still got stuff to do. And it
Right.
shows you that the cycle of life doesn't complete in death, it's a transformation. Okay.
Yeah.
We see it in even our snakes that shed skin. You'll be like, oh my God, what is all this dead skin? You think your arm's going to fall off or something, but it's fine. You're shedding what no longer is, aligning with the new you that you're remembering.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I definitely love about this whole, the whole topic that we're on, when I think about like our plants and animals and things like that, one of the things is that they don't need our words, right? They just need our
No.
presence, our energy, and
Yes.
they reflect it back to us,
Hmm.
without judgment, without
Without
expectation.
judgment.
And, isn't that like what we all need sometimes? Like, I don't think people
Say it
really
again.
realize
Yes. Say yes. We can
we need
use
that
it.
energy. Like, I'd rather you not be doing this and just love.
Yeah. Say it
Like,
again.
just
Exactly.
love.
Just love me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's like a reflection in the mirror that, it's not trying to fix you. It's not trying to
No.
judge you. They just, plants and animals simply just meet us where we are. And I think it's really
Exactly.
humbling, honestly. When you realize that you can't hide your energy from the universe, because like the universe knows, like
Yes.
it be knowing. And so, people are constantly trying to like read your energy and things like that. But like the plants and the animals, they be knowing. Like I feel
Oh,
like people
yes. They
in
do. They
my
see you,
office,
like all of you
yeah, they be
there. and
they
you
be
can feel
knowing.
it. Like,
Yeah, you like you
because you
know
would look
how I
at your baby
feel.
and be like, why are you staring at me like that?
Yeah, like what you looking at? Why you being weird? But that's the part where I think that the magic really happens, like in that reflection.
I
Um,
agree.
I'm curious, what are some specific ways that you've learned to sync your energy with your pets or your plants on a regular basis?
Um, I've learned to pause, honestly. When you pause, you could, depending on what level you are of remembrance, you actually can see the energy in the room. And girl, it looks like the Sahara Desert. I've never been there, but I'm sure it's super hot. So
You said,
something that's so freaking like have you ever seen heat in the air? Like when you be like, oh my God, it's scorching hot outside and you see the heat waves, that's what
mm-hmm.
it looks like. When you pause, when you get to a certain level of remembrance, you start to see the energy in the air before you even do anything about it.
Yeah,
And plants and animals, they teach you to take that sacred pause, because there is beauty in not doing anything. It's beauty in silence. They show you that actually, in terms of like, think about how, the circus abuses those animals. Those animals are huge. They could truly overpower him, right? But they
right.
choose love over fear. They choose
Right.
compassion over fighting and judgment against the people that are doing these things, because they know that these individuals are unaware of their divinity. Because if they were aware of divinity, they would know that harming them is harming themselves. Believe me, I've been there. I'm probably the perpetrator and the villain in someone's past story too.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, and it, even with that being said, I've already forgiven myself, whether they have or not. I've released myself, okay,
Right.
from however that is. And that's what animals do. They release that and they already leave forgiveness at the door for you. Okay.
Yeah.
They already leave that unconditional, unwavering love for you at the door. And they'll still show up and do the job 100%.
Hmm.
People go to circuses, you see it, and you're like, wow, look at that baby. Exactly. Spectacular. Even though he probably just got his ass whooped like 10 minutes ago. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like a child. Like, you see parents, they be like, you fucked up and you like a kid. Okay. I used to get my butt whooped when I was younger. Okay. It didn't change me
Indeed.
from making the decisions I was making. I definitely still was a fucking terror, right? So,
Yeah.
in other words, you just kind of get used to this.
Yeah.
You get used to it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna get it, so I better make it damn good when I do this time.
Right. I think that it's something so beautiful to me about the daily practice of presence, like, just being, like you said, pause, right?
Yeah,
And
just being.
people don't think about how sacred pausing is. And one of the things that I'm constantly referring to on the podcast is how
Mm-hmm.
plants teach us how to stay present.
Oh yeah.
I think, let's say, Valentine's Day, you done got a dozen roses. So now
Right.
you're trying to do every single thing you can to preserve them roses and keep them bright. You don't put the
Mm.
food in. Somebody say
Right.
a tablespoon of sugar. You're gonna add some sugar. They say take it to the sun, take it out the sun, clip the stem this way, not too much though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They tell you to do all these things, and so you do all of this to make them last forever. But we have
Yes.
to understand that plants aren't meant to last forever. They're
Exactly.
meant
It's
to
gonna go through a
be
cycle.
in
It's
the present.
gonna be
Yeah.
transformative. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what our pets do as well. Like plants, pets, all of that. They're here on earth for humans to stay grounded in the present moment, to remind
Exactly.
us
To
of the
remind
simple
us.
things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because we get
it's
so
true.
caught up on so many big things that we lose sight of something as small as this flower, this plant. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get so far ahead of ourselves that we're trying to make this flower or this plant last forever, live forever,
Yeah.
not realizing that the plant will live forever, but just not in
Exactly,
this
but it's
form.
not in this form. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. It's so true. Like
Exactly.
it but if you but when I look at people who aren't at a frequency of love that I'm at, I look at them and I still see beauty, because I remember when I was there,
Yeah.
unaware, and it's still beauty in being unaware of all of your divinity all at once, because remembering, it takes time for you to genuinely do that, because see, remembering means that you have an all access card, put it that way, but
Hmm.
that all access card is never punched until the present moment of being needing to use it, right? So in other words, like, I'm not going to plan for tomorrow today. No, when tomorrow gets here, tomorrow will unfold, and I already
Yeah.
got it all figured out, whatever that figure it out may be. You right?
Yeah.
Like some days, I'll notice, some animals, they're just not feeling it, right? you
Hmm.
know so I'll sit with them for a while to try to see what this energy is that's going on, right? Is it doubt? Is it fear? Right? What's going on? Sometimes it's just as simple as, I'm tired. Like, I don't want to do anything.
Right. Like I
I'm
don't
just
feel like
tired.
performing today.
Yeah. I don't feel like doing any of that today. And, it truly is. Same thing with plants. Sometimes it's as simple as they just needed your attention. I remember one day when I was growing tons of plants in my house, right? Because I told you I make tinctures. So I left on vacation. I did tell my plant babies, like, you're going to have a visitor, right? Please try, to accept them like you do me. Okay. It lasted very short lived. They were freaking out. They were like, oh my God, where is Regina? This is not what Regina does. No.
Right, they said this is not how we were raised, okay? I
Yeah,
don't know who this
yeah,
is, but they tell
yeah.
you, Harpo, who this woman?
Girl, you ain't never lied. And it's like, I had to have the person put me on speakerphone so I could talk to them and they can feel my vibrations from wherever I was, so they would know you're being well cared for. And what you're getting, unfortunately, yes, it's only basic. It's basic, right? But when you get me back, right, you're going to love that I've been away for a little while. You're going to just have to miss me. And
Yeah.
it just took for me to just let them know I'm okay and they will be okay. And instantly what happened, they went from looking like withering babies that were about to die, because the person that literally thought they killed my plants. But I was like, no, they're sad. Okay, they're fucking sad.
It's like your
But after
energy
that,
just doesn't match mine,
yeah. Yeah. So after that conversation, guess what? They perked back up. It was like nothing ever happened. I swear to God, it freaked them out. It freaked them out because they were like, wait a minute, dude. These was about to be dead like just a few hours ago.
Now you gotta come home and tell your friend it's because your energy is trash.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's amazing how even once you back away, no matter how far you are, that energy will transcend, okay, at all times. It will transcend time, it will transcend dimensions. I think Zeus is agreeing with us over here how we're talking right
I was
now.
gonna
He's
say
like,
Zeus
yeah,
can say amen, yes, mama, tell him.
yeah, exactly. He's like, he knew I was recording, and he tried his best to not say anything until he felt like it resonated. I told all my kids, try not to say anything unless you're truly urged divinely to guide,
Well, Zeus said, I'm with y'all when y'all right, and right now y'all right.
Yes, my love. Yes.
Yes. So I'm curious, what emotional or spiritual shifts have you noticed in yourself since being more intentional and operating, more from a frequency of love?
Oh my God, I'm more balanced. Like I used to be 0 to 100. Okay,
Real
like
quick.
don't touch me. Okay,
Yeah.
like, and if the touch was so wrong, I was an extremist with how I would respond. My response was, yeah, it was that response. Well, I would be a hurricane and a tornado at the same time if I needed to be. And plants and animals taught me that I'm much more stronger. I'm much more fierce when I have nothing to say and everything to gain from inside of me. So it was just literally just not doing anything and allowing what I didn't do to do for me. So in other words, allowing what is called true manifestating, so that means when you're true manifestating, that means that you're manifesting from a point of not having to conceive it in your mind anymore. It's not something to bake. It's not a recipe. Everybody has the instructions. So how is it that? No, we all have it. It's just, knowing that it's okay to not how can I say, meet things with the same energy. If I
Right.
was on a vibration of frequency of love, then stay there. And they showed me how love and light is much stronger than violence, much stronger than letting somebody fear you. Okay, much stronger than even using your words. So definitely emotionally put me in balance, and just remembering that if I'm not aware that I do have the power to destroy, but when you're much more aware of your divinity, that you only want to create. So
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. I think the moment that love becomes your foundation,
oh yes,
everything else starts to feel different.
everything feels different.
You,
You
you,
find things about yourself, and even the environment. Mind you, you've been living. Mind you, this means that you've been living in this environment this entire time. You've been living in your body for as ever long as you've been in that body, right?
right.
And all of a sudden, everything becomes more divine and sacred. Now, when you make connections with others, now your first instance is to listen to them talk or even
Yeah.
breathe sometimes, because
Yeah.
it's taking breath, right? that lets you know that there's life there.
Yeah.
And now that connection with life doesn't require us to know each other's language as far as verbiage goes, right? So if someone speaks Spanish or French or Japanese, like, I don't have to learn those languages anymore. Literally,
Exactly.
I have that code already in me. When I meet someone of that descent, we will speak the first language first. That language will be deciphered within me, and what comes out of me, we will be able to understand each other. People always
Exactly.
wonder how do two different customs join together and be harmonic. That's how. Because the
Right.
love didn't start on the surface. When love starts on the surface, it's not real. It's definitely something that can be broken up. It's crumbs. It's sandy at that point,
Yeah. And I love the fact that, once you start to feel it, it's like you stop performing for approval, you stop questioning
Ooh,
your worth,
yes.
right? And you
Yes.
start living from a place, kind of as you stated, of knowing, right? And that's like a real sense of peace that a lot of people don't even feel because they haven't, really tapped into the self-love first. Because if you're not going to love yourself and you're not going to deeply, spend time loving yourself, how can you then expect to show up in a world full of so many other beings and express love when you haven't first done that for yourself? It's it's like there's a shift that happens, for
Hmm.
all of us when we begin to realize that we deserve peace simply
I agree.
because we exist.
Yes.
Simply because we exist. For no other reason
Hmm.
whatsoever. We don't have to earn it. We don't have to fight for it. It's ours from the moment we're born.
Yeah,
Even
it's you
before
right.
we
It's the birthright. Yeah,
it's literally, something that we just have to choose to align with.
it's
Um,
true. It's true. You're right, because free will is definitely 1000% a thing. And yeah, if we choose not, you're right. If we choose not to align with it, that means that, yeah, you're right. The external becomes our reality. It becomes what is true for us. That means
yeah,
that, we put our trust in someone else to keep us safe. We don't believe that we're safe with ourselves, right? That means that we
right,
put our trust in systems to delegate for us because we don't think we can delegate for ourselves, you
yeah,
know. And plants and animals will show you that no, you are a sovereign being. You are safe within your own being. Okay,
yeah,
you can provide for your safe. You know, they taught me what Christ consciousness meant. I didn't even know what that had meant. And I remember sitting amongst some plants. I was in a forest at this time, just hanging out, me and my babies and the forest. And I just was thinking a question. And before I can get all the words all the way out, it was just like, plant life just started speaking through me. Like, I just started talking out loud about Christ consciousness. And I was like, where the F did that even come from? Like, I was
right,
trying to ask the question, but okay. Okay. Like, you literally see through plants and animals that they observe the external, but they don't absorb it. Okay. But in observation, they always point to themselves. It is the inner them that is true.
yeah,
Oh, how they enjoy the comforts of external everything, but they understand that it's a mirror, it's a reflection of all the things that they already have inside. Like, their source from inside, everything is in them,
exactly.
and when you're around plants and animals, especially for just a moment, people think like this needs to be a span of a period of time, but no. Sometimes you're going to enter a place unknowingly, and you're going to be given the key right away. Whether you're aware you got the key or not, you
Right.
would know when the time comes and when you're needed for that key. And you're
Yeah.
already going to have it, and it's going to open that door. But you're right. It is a choice to choose to go in that door, or to be afraid and to have fear and feel like, no, I don't think that I want to do that yet.
Right.
Even those people, those individuals, you have to trust that the soul knows exactly what it needs to do, and it will awaken at the time that is right for them.
Yes. And I think that that's the beauty of being, with any type of light worker, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this work, learning how to read the language, of others. And in your case, taking it even a step further to the leaves and to the fur babies, right?
Mhm.
Because our nonverbal friends have so much wisdom to share,
Oh my
when we
goodness.
actually are willing
Yes.
to slow down and listen, whether it's,
Hmm.
a wilting leaf, or, asking for more or I'm sorry, the wilting leaf, maybe like asking for more presence from you, or, a gentle nuzzle from our little furry friends, reminding us to just kind of soften our hearts. They're basically guiding us back to ourselves in the most intimate and loving ways if we stop and receive it, right?
Yeah, that is true.
And that goes back to the beginning when you talked about the pause, right? it's
Exactly.
it's that sacred pause that really allows us to receive wisdom, because they offer it so freely to us. And so when we allow ourselves to listen and really truly listen, that's when we're able to experience the true power of nature's love. Something
Man,
that
you ain't lying. And wisdom too, because it's like
yeah,
you may remember things from certain lifetimes, but once you get into with plants have been around longer than all of us have,
yeah,
on the planet, and it has wisdom that you would like love to learn, love to know. There's things that will surprise you, even with yourself. Like, I surprise myself every day, all day, with my gifts. I remember when I first um found out I can heal, right? That was like a miraculous thing for me. Like I was like, oh my God, I was so taken by it, by the way it made me feel. Uh, Even though afterwards, yes, it does take a lot of energy. I was drained, but that was
mhm,
because I was unaware that I had a limitless will, a source of power. So when I was able to walk through that door of fear, and not be afraid that maybe I'll take my own life in saving another, right? I removed that limiter, and I saw something beautiful that happened where I figured out that I wasn't doing any of the healing, that it was actually uh, my tuning fork coming into contact with another tuning fork, and we just made harmonic music together where the structures encoded in this soul was already there. I just put it
right,
online,
yeah,
and that's the same thing, that happens to all of us too. We have connections with all sorts of people, places, or even things, and you will find out that it took you somewhere, even if you haven't been aware of that at the moment of it presenting itself. It will come a time for you to need it, and when you need it, you're going to be like, I'm so equipped. Where did that you're going to shock yourself.
yeah,
It's going to be that power moment where give yourself a hug. Yeah, tell yourself you did a great job.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember being so young, and I used to write affirmations on my wall. People will come into my rooms and stuff and be like, dude, you really love yourself, don't you? I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm pretty amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like,
me.
you're pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I will
dope.
say so myself. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But you don't know what that means at that age. Like I was so unaware
yeah,
what was being expressed. But when you let go and you let yourself express, yes, those puzzle pieces will reveal themselves later to you why you were like that, why you were, so expressive in that way. You will find out because you've always had the tools. You were always smart and crafty and creative and amazing.
right,
you know Even when you see plants and animals, they do the same thing. They're trying to figure their things out too, to figure themselves out, right?
right,
You got some people, they're afraid to feed animals that come up to them and seek food because they're hungry. They're like, if I
yeah,
feed this baby, the baby's going to come back again, and I don't want them to be dependent on me. Mind
yeah,
you, the animal is forgiving. Okay,
hmm,
forgiveness already was at the door, even though she declined to share her resources. Some people are like that. They will decline you resources. They will hoard resources. They will have you fight and compete and compare with one another over resources, right?
yeah,
But again, forgive them anyways, because they're so unaware. And even the ones that are aware of the things that they do to people, forgive them anyway. Okay? Because you don't have to mess with them. Now you know. You don't want to
Yeah.
share. You don't want to be unity consciousness. That's cool. All right,
Right.
I'll let you be. Eventually, they'll end up alone anyway, right? They'll end up all by
Right.
themselves anyway. So let
Exactly.
them be. Let them hoard. Animals show you that, and plants even show you. Like when plants grow, if it's a berry tree, it didn't just grow one freaking single berry. It's doing
Right.
shit on that berry. So there's going to
Right.
be berries on the ground everywhere.
Right.
Literally, plants show you that in abundance, there is enough for us all.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody gets berries. You
Yeah.
want
It's like
wild berries?
Oprah's greatest thing. You get a
Man,
berry. You get a
you
berry.
get a berry.
Everybody gets a
Everybody
berry.
gets a berry.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think while we're on this topic, let's talk about trust for a little bit, right?
Ooh,
A
yeah.
plant, doesn't force it to growth, right? It
Ooh, yeah.
an apple tree don't care nothing about being an apple tree, and what you
No.
think about it being an apple tree, baby, it just produces apples on this tree, right?
Yeah.
And a pet doesn't perform for its worthiness, right? They don't
That's right.
perform worthiness. There's
Mm-mm.
there's no act that a dog can do to make it a dog. It's
Exactly.
just a dog, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's no tricks or anything that this
Mm-mm.
dog can do to make it, be worthy.
Exactly.
And so when you think about that, what has working with the plants and the animals over the years taught you about trusting your own process?
Oh my goodness, it taught me everything of you. If I were to put some real oomph on anything, yeah, they taught me everything when it comes to trust. Like I said, growing up, watching how, because I went through season changes. I'm from Chicago. I was born and raised there. So, when you grow up through season changes, you see how, the weather goes dormant. Everything. You see snow everywhere. It's freaking ice. It's cold. Nothing.
Right.
But what's crazy is that nature shows you something different. Plant life shows you that even in the most extreme conditions, yes, there is blooming. Not the ones that you remember from the spring and the summer, but there are
Right.
winter plants. There are plants that do grow in the winter. So it shows you to just trust the process. Like, and when you see that as a kid, you tell yourself like, man, I'm gonna be resilient like that. And he out here growing in the cold. I can't even
Right.
stand
I'm gonna
out
be
here.
that
It's cold
tree.
as hell.
I'm
I
gonna
want
be
to be
that
him.
tree right there. I'm gonna
Exactly.
take
I want
all
to be
them
him.
elements and still come back. Catch me in the
Exactly.
spring. How about that? Right?
How about that? Yes, yes. But it shows you though, even when, as a kid, I'm watching this winter plant. Every day I'm going outside and I'm seeing and I'm cold. I'm like, but I want to see how it's growing and what it's going to do. Is it going to fall off? Never did it wither or weather. No matter how cold it got or frosty them leaves were, it stayed.
Yeah.
It cycled through it. It made it through. And it was so crazy because once the spring got here, it turned into a weed. It was so crazy. It was like, I don't need to be here any longer.
Yeah.
It was a cycle complete, and it transformed into something that the fertile ground needed. People think weeds are terrible, but you can weed it back into the earth, and the earth will do what it needs to do with its own stuff. Like I said, we don't need to do much. If we make choices to take the weeds out and dump them in the garbage, that's our own business. But
Right.
but it will show you that you just have to go through the cycles and trust it. And that's what I had to do even with my own process. There was days that, I would still go from 0 to 100 years ago. And it took time for me to stay balanced and give myself grace. I was so used to forcing everything and being an outer and external perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
So, having that cultivated in one side of your mind, and then you're forging this new path, the difference was I've learned that my old path was heavy. That's how I had differentiated between the two and was able to fully trust, because now I know me, genuinely, authentically, I'm light, and everything about me is light.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that is no longer aligned with me or no longer fits me anymore, I had to accept that it's heavy and I gotta let it go because it's wearing
Yeah.
me down.
Yeah.
And when I trusted, started to trust at first, it was still days that I'm like, oh my God, this is so weird. Because my mind was still trying to play what it used to play because I had them limiters, those blocks up for so long. This is when you truly actually find out your power.
Right.
You learn how powerful you was.
The dogs is like, yeah,
Zeus,
tell him.
that's Zeus. He loves to be in on things. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm here
He
for
has to
it.
be in on it. And
I'm here for it.
that trust inside of myself, it grew. The
Yeah.
quantum leap, how I took a quantum leap in trust was going through the doors of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that used to scare me, that meant that everything I was leaving or that was leaving me, I had to keep walking.
Yeah.
And it's tough because at first you're like, oh my God, like that's my family, that's my friend, that's this, that's that,
Yeah.
This place I really love. But you find out like it's okay. You get a sense of calmness. This is why that pause is, like you said, so sacred and so beautiful, because it's in the pause that you get a sense of calmness if you wait for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it comes pretty
really.
instantaneous. You just have to just wait and feel it. And when you feel it, it's calm. It's going to vibrate real nice. It's going to be real constant and steady, but it's going to be very soft and assuring. And you're going to know I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, trust is so powerful, but sometimes, I mean, no lie, it's a painful lesson sometimes. But there's always, it's the place where freedom lies, I believe. And when we learn to trust our own process, to trust who we are growing at, and the pace that we're growing. The pace that we're growing, that we need to grow at, that's where I feel like that pressure comes off. And, we stop comparing, stop racing against the clock. And, we start really trusting that we're already exactly where we need to be. That's when we really, truly find that peace, that love. Because you don't need to, like, you don't care about who you are. You're just who you are. You don't care about what other people think. You wake up every day and you love yourself. And if somebody else shows you some love, great.
Exactly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I receive it.
Gratitude and grace.
Like, at the end of the day, I am love. So you giving me love, you're just giving me more of what I am. I am love, And I feel like you radiate such a grounded presence. How do you protect your own energy in environments that don't reflect the same frequency? Because we know everybody ain't love and light like we are. Okay?
Oh yeah, that's true. Like I said, I
you
literally
protect
learn from being in this business with multiple animals that I've met and the multiple plants. Like I said, that showed me that I didn't have to use anything external. Everything in me, my light, my love, was all I needed for protection. And I noticed that they were true because I would take my light into dark areas and either people will disappear, right? Or they'll just be too scared to run up anyway. You feel me? So you got those that's peeking out at you and you got others that ain't nowhere near you. Exactly. Either way, if they can't vibrate at a frequency of love where you are, they're not going to be able to meet you anyway with anything. Yes. What allows for some people to get a meeting with that is because they had a fear of it. So guess what? It's going to present itself for you so that you overcome it. People think life is just like beating it down, like, oh my God, why did I go through that type of door? I've been so afraid of going through that type of door as is, and now I'm here. Now is your chance.
Yeah.
To create a new doorway, like I said, a new path. Like I said, you're gonna first start walking two densities. Your old density that needs to be shedded, and then you're gonna be walking that new one. And like I said, in doing this business, it has cultivated something beautiful in me. That's the grounding presence that you feel, you know. It's now I'm just the embodiment of what was already in me to begin with. And they showed me it was already in me. And when you start to
Right.
find these better things out about yourself, no, you no longer want to be the old versions of yourself. It's not because you regret being those people, you know, or anything like that, or you hate those versions of yourself. No, you love them because it gave you the experience, it gave you the keys you needed to even get to the door of, oh my God, I remember all of this stuff and I want to use all of this stuff now. You know,
Right.
and then you're going to find out there's so many more of you, so much more of you to be used. You know, all you're going to want to do is stay as balanced as you can so that you can keep inviting new insights in. So those times that
Right.
you would take to pause intentionally, now it just happens naturally. Like out the blue, you're going
Yeah.
to know you need to take a pause for no apparent reason but to
Yeah.
pause. You do it because you trust yourself. You trust that whatever's going to come in this moment, it's what you needed. And even if in your mind is going to try to tell you, you're not hearing anything, it's going to still try to talk to you. Let it talk. This is
Yeah.
when you show your entirety. You become what is called whole. When you're
Yeah.
whole, then you know there are multi-dimensional pieces of you that are going to speak at one time. But you know that there
Absolutely.
is only one piece that is true, and it lies in love. It lies in your heart. So you know why
Absolutely.
your mind is freaking out that you ain't get the piece of information it think you already got. It's you, the soul
Yeah.
that says, I got you, you beautiful mind. You're expansive. You're
Absolutely.
amazing. That means you talk to yourself. You know, people are so afraid of that because they're like, oh my God, somebody's staring at me. So what?
Let them.
Let
Let
them.
them.
Show them how much you F with you. Okay?
Yeah.
Plants and animals show you that. They don't need nobody else to thrive. They'll take a shit in front of you. Okay?
They
They
don't
will
care.
piss on you.
Right.
Okay? They and to them, these things are normal. They will dig up your whole yard, holes everywhere. Okay?
Right. Right. They don't care. And
They
I
don't
think
care.
too, we got to remind ourselves that we don't really have to fight to hold on to our peace. Right?
No, baby.
We just need to choose it. And if we constantly
Yes.
choose peace, then we don't have to fight to get our peace back.
Mm.
And sometimes it's the quietest choice that we make.
Ooh,
Choosing
yes.
not to engage, choosing to protect
Yes.
our peace, that ends up having the most profound impact on our lives. Um,
Yes.
in what ways do you see this level of, I guess, energetic awareness influencing how you show up in your relationships? And I mean, like, your relationships with people, not just plants and animals.
Oh yeah. You know what? It's the same thing. I'm transparent. You know, I'm raw. I'm unfiltered. You know, I'm everything that you're not gonna get on the external world.
Yeah.
I'm me. You
Yeah.
know, and it feels amazing to be that way. You know, when I first had started my business almost a decade ago, uh, I tried to do both. I tried to be me and be what everybody else wanted.
Yeah.
It kept clashing. They kept bumping heads. Okay, it kept bumping heads until I finally said no more. I'm just going to be me. Okay, I'm just going to be me. And to be honest, the connections that didn't align in my business, I let go. You know, and
Yeah.
then you see the connections that stay. And those are those sacred connections that you know are meant for you and meant for the growth in what you're preparing to do. Even if you
Yeah.
don't even know what your preparation is for recreation, rebranding, or adding extra this service
Right.
or removing that service and whatnot, you will learn that all that was truly needed was to just be yourself, like literally
Yeah.
just being. You know, when you find out that you are freaking awesome just because you exist, you
Yeah.
know, then I don't have to do much. I don't have to do much but wake up and be me. You know, no longer, am I worried about, this, if somebody's going to care about that or this and that. No. If I feel all right, if I feel good, then that's what matters. And I
Yeah.
start putting that as a priority. The more I put me as a priority, the more that I show up authentically with others. and others get to learn a true version of me, right? When
Yeah.
you meet someone, a lot of people say, well, no, I got to keep some things, away from people. Why am I learning a false version of you? Like, what is
Right.
that? No,
Yeah.
no, I'm going to show up as me every time. And people, when you show up as yourself, be prepared, because people aren't used to that. They're not
You're
used to
right.
people being raw. They're like, wait a minute, you sound like that in this type of place? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that's who
And I
I
think
am.
this is it's so key because when people start living, in within their own awareness of their own energy, I feel like it completely shifts how you show up for other people because it allows you to stop giving from an empty cup.
Oh,
You
yes.
you stop engaging in relationships that are draining you. They're not pouring
Mm-hmm.
into you. Or like I always talk about ships. When you think of a ship is
Oh,
designed to
yes.
take you somewhere.
Oh,
So when you
yes.
think of all the ships, you think of your relationships, your friendships, your companionships, whatever, right? These are things that are
Mm-hmm.
designed to take you somewhere. And so if it is not growing you, if it's not taking you to that next level, then it's time to jump ship. You
I
know?
agree.
And so, when you start to tap into your own awareness, you begin to start choosing connections that nurture you, that feed you, or take you somewhere, as in the ship. And so, once you start to make that shift, like that's when the relationships that really matter start to come up, into your life and into alignment with you. It's where
Mm-hmm.
you start attracting people who see you
Ooh, I'm glad
instead
you
of
said it, because
chasing after
that's
people.
actually how you and I got connected. That
And
that
yes,
energy that I was already cultivating in me. It
yeah,
had laid out a path. Like I said, I don't listen to podcasts. It's not my thing. I like
yeah,
music, so I subscribe to YouTube. I pay for the subscription every month because I love music. And along came a song of yours, which I liked, but just the song, right?
mhm,
And then from that, I saw your podcast, and immediately it was like another tuning fork to my tuning fork. We were
yeah,
resonating with this, and I'm like, wow, this is okay, you know? And I thought to myself, like, oh my God, what is going on, you know? And I
right,
said, well, let me look at it. Let me see what's here that I need to get. And the
right,
entirety of the message resonated. Your aliveness, the way that you're, again, raw and unfiltered. You
yeah,
literally mirrored back to me the beauty that I was already pulling up in myself. I pulled
yeah.
up in the Corvette. You pull up in the Corvette. Hey, Corvette, like.
Hey, we over here like twins. Where have you been?
Exactly. Exactly. And I tell
Yes,
people all the time, that type of energy you can't get in the physical world. It is something that you cultivate in here, and it'll guide you to the people and things.
yeah,
So connections, like I said, it's been more energetic now than they have been physical. Even with there there was a time, a few years back when I wasn't at this grounded place, this grounded presence, right? And
mhm,
I was doing a lot of self-care. Like, I was doing self-care. I wasn't, because I didn't remember that I embodied self-care already. So at this point, I'm doing these things. I'm
right,
practicing these things. And there was some uh books that I was getting into. Jen Cosgrove, she's an amazing author of sassy quotes. It's like a
mhm,
self-love, self-care type of
yeah,
thing. And she don't just do like normal stuff. Like, I'm talking about, she does it the way I like it. And it made
yeah,
me feel like, oh my God, I ain't never gonna shut up and not be me ever again. I'm gonna let every part of me shine so bright.
yeah,
I cuss like a sailor. And I love that all her books let me know I can do that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
it
it's like you have to find
it
your zen where you can, like
yeah,
where it
where
makes sense.
you can. Say it again,
Yeah,
where it makes sense. And
yeah,
people don't know that it does make sense. You have a soul tribe out there, even if they
mhm,
haven't found it yet, it's out there. And the only way to connect to your soul tribe is energy.
mhm,
Cultivate your own energy, lay your own ground rules for your own energy, and I promise that bridge comes together. Because that's how it was
yeah,
with you and I. That bridge came together,
absolutely.
and it felt so beautiful.
Yeah,
I normally
like
don't
we've
do
known each
anything
other
like this.
forever.
I
Like
swear to exactly.
what?
I never answer, calls after whatever or respond to things. And immediately I reached out to you. I think it was like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I gotta say something to her right now. It's
Oh, we
just
were vibing.
right away. And I didn't
It
even
was
know where it
like,
was gonna lead.
yeah, no idea whatsoever.
None.
Yeah, that's the beauty of, when you are a light worker or a healer. I prefer to say
Mm-hmm.
when you are a healer, and you recognize, like, okay, if you identify as being an empath, right?
Yeah.
But you lack empathy, you're not being in
Mm-hmm.
your full potential, right? Just because
Exactly.
you can feel somebody's energy, if you can't help to balance their energy, because just because you feel
Mm-hmm.
somebody's energy, bad energy, doesn't mean you have to give bad energy back, because you never
I
wanted the bad energy
agree.
in the first place.
To begin
So
with,
if you
yes.
receive negative energy, you don't have to give it back. You can still
Mm-hmm.
shine, just shine brighter, vibrate higher. Michelle tells us when they go low, we go high. You
Exactly.
don't
Go
always
real high. Yeah.
you have to, in order to maintain your peace, to
And it's
maintain
not to make
your,
somebody feel little.
yeah,
You're not making them feel little. You're just letting them know that there are an array of options, and you're giving them an option by being an example of alignment, what that
absolutely.
looks like. Because see, if you show what that looks like, one awakened soul can literally brighten an entire room of death and dull density.
Yeah.
Like I told you before, I've always been that person that I could walk and shake up an entire room. They cannot be expecting anything like this. And I just walk through the door. I'm loud, and I'm loud too. I'm that person that'll walk in, my booty didn't knock something over, everything is on the floor. I didn't crash some
Girl,
glasses. Everybody's
he's like,
staring
my
at me.
bad. My
Yeah,
bad,
yeah,
John.
that's
Hey,
me. That's me. My bad. My bad. Yes, guys. Hi. Hi.
I get you
I'll
another
pick that
one.
up
My
later.
bad. That's so funny. But we need that in the world. People like us. Like, we need more of us
Yes.
in the world. People who
Yes.
are truly tapped in, and vibrate on those frequencies. And we do. We all have low vibrational moments, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
we choose to vibrate higher. So even
Say it
though
again. We make a
and
choice every day,
exactly,
all
we
day.
choose.
Because people think that you're right. People do think that once you get to a high level of frequency of love, that you're just there and you're this master. No, a true master knows that there is no levels. Okay, there is no number. The only number
Right,
is zero. Neutrality. That's it. It is
right,
zero. If you're from the hood, then everybody know baby zero. When you call baby zero, you know, you
right.
before everything. Everything comes before that. Don't
Exactly.
nothing come after that. And baby zero go twice. Baby zero go twice.
Yeah,
which makes
exactly.
it wholeness. It's a full circle at that point. That's how like, it's always there and it's never going to end.
Yeah, that's so good. Like, I think that if more people really start to shift, you know what I mean, start to really choose themselves,
Oh
they'll
yes.
they'll start to feel this,
Yeah,
because
they'll remember.
honestly,
Because really that's all it is.
yeah,
We
the
forgot a
awakening.
lot of things. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll awaken. And those dormant codes that were so latent and weren't being used for so long.
Hmm.
Just think about anything else that you pull out of your garage you ain't used in a long time. It take a little time for it to work like
Yeah.
it's supposed to. So at first it's gonna start cranking in weird noises, right? You're gonna start getting fatigue moments. You're gonna get moments where you feel like I don't want to do nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Shut the door, turn it all off.
Right. Come
But
back,
that's
try
because
again tomorrow.
exactly. But that's because you have energy that you're still using. Just
Hmm.
because you were asleep or you were awake and you didn't think you were doing anything, you're a multidimensional soul. You're always doing something awesome.
Right.
Okay. And when you become aware of that awesomeness, you give your tool, the device, the grace it needs. That means that some days you might not do anything. I'm not going to say anything today. For 2-3 days, go back. Maybe
Yeah.
the next day you wake up, you're like, you know what? I'm not doing anything today either. Self said, no, today is a no doing today ever again. Not today.
Yeah. Not
The next
today.
day, you might feel that
Right.
again, right? This may go
Right.
on for a little while. Take it, because that's your inner self telling you that we're integrating new life in you. Like when you make a new leap, a new quantum leap in your life in progress, take a break and enjoy that leap of progress. I've learned
Absolutely.
that with these animals and plants. Be glad that that's what it's amazing going like, because guess what? Your next cycle is going to be even more different and better, but you're here now, and in
Right.
that present moment, be glad about it, because you got everything you need in that present moment.
Right. Yeah. So listen, girl, we can do this all day. I'm sure we could.
Oh my God, yeah, right?
But I do, before we, I guess kind of maybe close out today's episode, and I say today's because I'm hoping she'll be back again, y'all. So don't worry.
Oh,
We
I
need her to
love
feel
it.
the love and understand we will be back.
I know that's right. I
But
love it.
before we close out today's episode, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners? Maybe anything that you would like them to maybe take away from our conversation today?
Just know that you don't have to meet the frequency of love, that the frequency of love is what you were born out of. It exists within you. And all that is truly needed is for you to recall it back, claim it again, say that it's mine, tell yourself that you're a sovereign being and everything that you need is granted to you in the present moment. And don't be afraid. Use fear as fuel. Let it fuel your ride. And I'm talking about let the fear, let it scare the shit out of you, and let your hair stand up on your hands, right? Let your
Right.
hands even melt in sweat. But I guarantee you, once your sweaty hands get past that door,
Right.
okay, you'll be fine. You can fall out at the finish line. And just know,
Right.
even when you get to that finish line, it's more to go. Okay.
Yeah.
The frequency of love is like I said, it's a circle. Okay. It is everlasting, ever there. Okay. It's never going to leave. It's in the darkest corners, because the darkest corners, they're dark because it forgot how light it was. The same as a lot of us souls out here. We've been there where we didn't know how light we were. We didn't know how bright we were at one point. And you can tell by what was going on. But love still was there. Even in those dark times, it was there, right?
Absolutely.
Love is everywhere. A lot of people feel like, no, love can't be here because I'm going through a lot of stuff. The thing about it is, you're not going through anything, okay? Everything that is happening is at your own will. If you don't want it to happen anymore, you are the creator. Okay? The spark of the creator is in you, helping you to co-create whatever you want at your fingertips.
Right.
Okay? Right at your fingertips. So if you no longer want to work at this job, they're not treating you right, quit. Leave it alone. Because you're a creator and you got that spunk in you. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm gonna go over here and help yourself first. That's what the frequency of love will teach you. When you start to uh cultivate the energy in you, it will teach you that everything in you is outside of you. You're looking at a mirror of what you
Yeah.
already have, right? When you're using a computer, you are the computer device inside. You're using a GPS, you are the GPS. You have those coordinates already in your mind. Trust yourself. Trust the ability that you don't need everything outside, that everything outside is to be enjoyed. And when you enjoy something after you remember who you are, ooh, it is sacred and it is divine and beautiful. Your
Tell them.
enjoyment is like a kid again. You feel like a kid in everything that you do. Everything you do now, you're like, oh my God, you're the most excited you've ever been. And you could have done this for 20 years. But now the 21st year that you've got awakened, now the way you awaken, it's different now when you do things. Like now, when I do dishes, I'm the more I never used to like to do dishes. I'm like, where's the dishwasher?
Right.
I'm just gonna get it popping. No, now doing dishes, because my son sets during the time I'm doing dishes, me and the son get to have a conversation. And I get to do dishes and talk to the son at the same time.
Yeah.
So now even doing something as simple as that, it just turned into a divine moment, right? A sacred practice now that I can't wait to do.
Yeah. Yeah. You once you own it and make it yours, it hit different, you know?
It hit real different.
So if any of our listeners wanted to connect with you to discuss, um, like your services more, if they had questions for you,
Yeah,
um, how, how would they be able to maybe continue this energy journey with you? Is
no
there a way
doubt.
to connect?
Um, yeah, definitely. Email or by phone. My business name is Miles Davis, Holistic Animal Care Services and Spa. And they could connect with me via email, which is child_of_God 3114 at yahoo.com. That's CHILD_OF_GOD 3114 at Yahoo. Or via phone, 773 is the area code 425-2379.
Perfect.
And I'm open pretty much 365. So it doesn't matter if you have to call for just questions or inquiries. And I know that a lot of people are used to holistic providers being like extremely expensive. Duly note that I am extremely affordable. Okay, even if you are on a fast food salary, right? If you make $9 an hour, I guarantee you can afford me. Okay, you can
Yeah.
definitely afford me and what I have to offer. Not all of my services I charge for things either. There are a lot of stuff that are just comes free, just for the animal itself, being that it is a first client. So definitely, if you're first client, you're getting a lot of big bonuses, first client discount, first timer for that, and that's for you and the family. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'll definitely make sure that I link your information here as we close out. And I really, truly thank you for being here. Thank you for enlightening us, sharing your light.
I like
And
being in. I like being in the light space. That's really what it was. Like I said, it was your space. It was your light that got me here. I'm just radiating me right now, but I
right.
got here because I saw your light beacon. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's not forget. Like, this is a platform that is rooted in love, and it's it's
Absolutely.
it's rooted in safety. It's rooted in just be you. And I'm like, that's what I'm all about. And I just came delivering that. So
Yeah. No, we definitely appreciate that. It's kind of like you showed up today to refill my cup. And I'm sure that, the knowledge that we share and what we share today will then go out and fill other people's cups too.
oh
And
yeah.
I know that we have that in common, that we love to continue to pour. We deliver
Hmm.
and we serve from a place of abundance, not lacking. And
Oh
so we are
yes.
constantly filling our cups up. So I really truly thank you for being here with us today, and sharing your time. Regina, I truly thank you for showing up today to share your wisdom, your experience, and that deep healing frequency you carry through your connection with animals and plants. You reminded us today that healing doesn't always come in loud breakthroughs, that sometimes it comes in stillness, in presence, and in the quiet knowing of a wagging tail or the way a leaf leans into the light. And to all of my incredible listeners, I thank you for tuning in today, for sitting with us and choosing to explore this journey of love, energy, and alignment. I hope today's episode reminded you that love is all around you, sometimes in fur, sometimes in foliage. If Regina's message touched your spirit today and you're interested in connecting with her, or maybe just learning more about her business, Miles Davis Holistic Animal Care Services and Spa, you can connect with her via phone at 773-425-2379 or send her an email at child_of_God 3114 at yahoo.com. Whether you're looking for holistic support for your pets, want to learn more about plant based healing, or you just want to align with someone who deeply honors the frequency of love, Regina is the truth. Reach out to her. Your healing might begin with a single conversation. I want to say thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed our time together, be sure to give us a follow and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a moment of our latest content. If you feel like your voice belongs on this platform, if you've got something to share or a story to tell, maybe healing to offer. We'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly to talk about being a featured voice on an upcoming episode of Room to Breathe. Let's make space for your truth to be heard. And of course, don't forget to visit our website at theselfcareclub.org. You can book your own one-on-one personalized coaching session, check out our affirmative apparel, vibe to some of our motivational music, or just explore a treasure trove of free resources created just for you. Whether you're deepening your self-care journey or you're just looking for a little inspiration, you're going to be in the right place. Thank you for being a part of the Self-Care Club community, and I am excited to connect with you all again soon. But until next time, I encourage you to keep breathing, stay grounded, and remember that you will always be supported here at the Self-Care Club. So don't be afraid to take up space and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that you all have an amazing day on purpose, filled with purpose, and we'll reconnect soon. Thank you.
I found my